What's going on, everybody? John Eric Poli here with My MMA News, and I made sure to wear a gold tie for today's interview as I'm speaking to a champion. Pleased today to be joined by Bellator flyweight queen Liz Carmouche. Liz, of course, is making her second title defense at Bellator 294 against DeAnna Bennet. That fight date coming up here on April 21st. Without any further ado, let's welcome in Liz here. Liz, thanks for being here. Appreciate the time as always.
Thank you for having me.
All right, Liz, let's get right into everything here. So you know what it's like to be a champion now. You know what it's like to make a title defense now. Just how are you feeling both physically and mentally as you kind of put the final touches on the preparation here for this fight?
I'm feeling good. I've been doing my fight camps now on the other side of the coast away from family. And as difficult as that sacrifice is, being able just to focus all my attention 24/7 on preparation definitely gives me the security and knowing that I've done everything possible to be able to go in there and maintain this belt.
All right, so now before we get into more details about this second title defense and about your opponent and all of that, I do actually want to back up just for a moment to your last fight, because we did an interview before your first title defense against Juju, and you were so confident that you said you were going to go out there and you were going to get a finish and kind of put all of that controversy from that first fight aside. Obviously, you called your shot perfectly there. Just how good did it feel to go out and get that win and put all of that behind you?
It felt so good. It felt like there was a weight on my chest from all the controversy around the outcome of the first fight. So be able to go out there and finish her without any doubts. It wasn't a decision. It wasn't the ref pulling us off. It was her submitting and quitting. Made me feel great and walk away feeling like I truly had finally earned that belt.
Yeah, that was a great performance, Liz. And speaking of great performances, you've had 5 of them in a row now. You're on a 5-fight winning streak. What's been clicking in the stretch for you?
I think that I'm just a late bloomer. And instead of like taking those early years to learn all of it, I had to learn everything the hard-headed way, Marine style. I am much more caring to my body and understanding that I put so much time and so much effort into learning technique that now it's just a matter of keeping my body healthy, recovering right, doing things like going to the CPI Stem Cell Institute and doing stem cell therapy, doing the right massages, eating the right foods so that I can be as healthy as possible to go out there and perform with everything I have in me for you to fight.
It's funny that you actually brought that up, because I was planning on asking you, what is the secret to longevity in the sport? Because you've been obviously so successful here later in your career. Is it all of those things that you were mentioning? Is there anything else that maybe is a little secret to the sauce there?
Yeah, I definitely think all the recovery. I never did any recovery stuff in the beginning of my career. Some of it I thought was just silly and I didn't need it. Other parts are because I couldn't afford to do it. And to me, it didn't seem like the priority was in the recovery, like it was really a necessary part of the game. And now I understand how crucial it actually is and how imperative it is. But also I truly think I'm just a late bloomer. Everything I've ever done in life is behind the power curve of everybody else. And so my body's catching up with my mind, and I'm able to put those two together. And then I do things like stem cell, which I really feel like has been a crucial part of my physical aptitude and being able to be healthy going into these fights.
And now with all of that being said, let's start talking training camp here. I know you mentioned in the intro there that you kind of you changed coast for this fight. And if I'm not mistaken, you actually started doing that for your last fight as well. I mean, just, I guess, how's that been with that change? And I'm sure things got to be obviously really great this time around, because, the second time around doing something usually always goes better than the first, a little bit more familiar with everything there. So just how's that change been overall?
Yeah, my last camp, it was definitely different for me. My head coach, his wife is from Virginia, and she had a job opportunity. And in support of him, he's like, you know what, I'm going to follow you out there. I can do my dream out there just as well as I can do it here in California. And so I let him know. I was like, hey, I'm going to be that annoying younger sister, and I'm going to follow you and backpack you out there. I'm going out there to follow you. He's been amazing in being able to put everything together for each camp to be successful. And then being able to just focus all my attention on just the fight camp and not having to split priorities, not having to worry about letting down my son when I miss out on opportunities with him or my wife, and just focus on 24/7 fight camp has been great. And then there's such an overlooked, phenomenal resource here in Virginia Beach that I had no idea about, that I've benefited so much in this fight camp, that I think is exciting for me to be able to integrate it in.
And now this fight is another rematch for you. Just out of curiosity, how do you go about preparing for a rematch? Like, do you watch that first fight? Because it is in the, pretty near close by, right? It was just a few years ago, that fight. It wasn't like it was many, many, many years ago. So there still has to be some similarities there with her, I would assume. That's number one. And then number two, I mean, when there is a rematch, does anything change up with training camp, or do you kind of still go about things exactly how you would for any other opponent?
Yeah, we always study our opponents and make sure that my weaknesses and my strengths don't play into their strengths, and being able to feed into it. So it's always a matter of, okay, let's keep these things in mind, be cautious for this, or look out for these cues, the things that they telegraph and tell us that they have. But ultimately, at this point in my career, it's really about cultivating myself and being able to go out and be the best representation of what I have. And the great thing is with the people that I have here, I'm able to do that. And not overlooking our first fight, because there's a lot of takeaways from that. I just don't see her having changed anything from our last fight and any fights in between. But if there's one thing that I've learned, is that somebody can come out and be a completely different opponent. So I've got to be prepared for that. But I think they have a pretty good gauge for what she does in fights.
All right, Liz, the last time I asked you this question, you gave a very confident answer. So I'm expecting a lot of confidence in this here. So Bellator 294, April 21st. How do you see this fight playing out?
This fight is going to play out better than our first time. I think the only advantage that she had in our facing the first time was weight. She was substantially more than I was, both weigh-in day and the fight day. So she was able to throw that away. And the only way that she's eligible to fight for this belt is if she makes weight. So I see it being no later than the second round, a TKO or KO finish.
All right, Liz, great stuff as always. Just one other thing before we wrap things up here today that I have to ask you about with this fight. The fight is in Hawaii, so obviously great venue to have a fight for sure. Just how excited are you to fight in Hawaii, number one? And then number two, do you plan on making a little vacation out of this and spending some time afterwards to take everything in?
Yeah, I think just weight cuts in general, way easier when it's warmer temperatures. So that's a great benefit of Hawaii, and being able to go out there. And then when you have such great scenery, culture, and great food, it just makes it that much better. And I'm definitely going to stay a few days in Hawaii, especially because we have the 2-day event. So the next day I actually get to stick around and watch Alima and Watanabe fight. So I'm really excited about that.
Liz, it's been a pleasure as always. Just last thing before we head out for the day, if you want to go ahead and plug your social media so people know where to follow you at. You have any management, sponsorships, anybody you got to give shout outs to, anything like that? Floor is yours. Take it away.
Thank you. Yeah, you can find me on Instagram as I Am Gorilla, on Facebook, Liz Carmouche Official. And just wanted to do a special shout out to Twerk Dog Training and to Liberty Buddies. They're a program that my wife and I have to pair injured veterans and autistic children with service dogs to help benefit them. It's our nonprofit. And then, of course, I've been so fortunate having sponsors like Moster Coffee, Wind and Sea Coffee, and many others that are helping, like Defense Soap, to keep me ready and prepared on the mats to be able to go out there and perform as best as possible on Friday.